Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Trip to Horror Road. This is episode 20, and today we are going to be reviewing the thing. So, as you all know, I've got a special guest on the channel today. His name is Elliot, and well, anyway, I'm Ryan of Let's Get Kicking Movies, and I'll see you beyond the destruction, baby. Right, guys, as we all know, we are going to be reviewing The Thing. Yes, John Carpenter's The Thing to be precise. And anyway, Elliot, can you tell us what is The Thing about?
Well, Ryan, The Thing is about a group of scientists and archaeologists in, I believe it's Antarctica, and they come across a base owned by God. Where is the other base owned by? I don't know, but which included an alien spaceship and an alien creature frozen in the ice, which thaws out and attacks them all. So.
Right. Well, that's basically what the thing is, really, because like you don't really know where this creature's from, because you'll never know. Like, because you see from the start of the movie, you see the spaceship that literally crashes down onto like in Antarctica, which is announced. Like you tell it because it says like on the base it's US Antarctica, what the hell it is. Like, those are like the details like you don't really look at anyway. But so yeah, so anyway, like when was the first time you ever watched The Thing?
The first time it was at 3 a.m. Back when I was sort of living abroad. I tried to watch The Thing like 3 times and I never managed to get into it. Every time I fell asleep, because it's quite a slow start to a film. It's very slow paced.
Yeah.
So I could never stick to it. But one time I just managed to. I was set up, determined to watch this film. And yeah, it was just incredible.
And the way that like did this movie, like John Carpenter's vision and how this movie was going to like plan out, because you know this movie was going to be really hard to make, because you know that you had the original 50s movie, The Thing from Another World, because they had less resources like of how they're going to make The Thing back then. But the best thing about the 80s, because the practical effects are coming into more use, right? Due to like, you know, these practical effects artists, I think it's like VFX, I think. And the way they created these creatures, they look so real. They feel like you are actually there in the very picture itself.
Yeah.
So, as I'm going to say, what is your favorite bit out of the whole film?
My favorite bit's the surgery bit where he has the electric clamp and like the stomach opens up with the teeth. Oh, I love that bit.
This is all, and like fucking arms just like cut off, bitten off, and like wow, that's it's just fucking insane. Like how, like they say you know it was fake anyway because it's practical effects. Well, how the way they did it was so unreal. You know, like this couldn't happen in real life. Well, it can, but it would have to be like be like a shark or something, or a snake or something like that. Bite a bloody hand off or something like that. But the way they did it, it looked so real. It's like using like prosthetic, like fake art hands or something like that to make these like effects come true. Because if they didn't do that, they would have been stuck using shitty CGI or something like that. Well, basically, CGI wasn't really used back then. Well, it was around, but it was mostly used for sci-fi. But with this, because this was a sci-fi horror and it was set on Earth in the middle of Antarctica, or it could be the North Pole, whatever the thing is, it will mostly like be set around that time because it's going to be physical, right? Just seeing like these creatures come together, literally like that head scene basically just turned itself into a fucking walking head. Like that's insane, like absolutely insane. It just brings like something new to like what physical effects can give you in this certain genre, and that's what Carpenter really did. He brought something new. It wasn't a rehashed remake to the original, which I still need to watch the rest of. I only watched half of it because like sometimes like old movies can, it can bore you in a way, but you just got like be in the right mood to watch this kind of film. What are your opinions on like the physical effects and everything like that?
I think that this film specifically just has some of the best practical effects in cinema history. Like no other film ever matched this. And I do prefer practical effects to CGI. With how far CGI has come in today's world, I mean, like some of the CGI we're seeing nowadays in like Marvel films and all is extraordinary and almost pitch perfect realistic. But there's just something so it just connects to you seeing practical effects. You can tell it's not real, but it's just you get so entranced by it, you know. And I love it.
Yeah, because like with the thing with CGI these days, you know, like it's like, is this any good or is this just going to be a pile of crap? Because like the thing with CGI these days, like it just looks a bit more, it looks a bit iffy. Like when we when we watched The Void for the first time, like you watched it before me, I watched it first, but like you see, in my opinion, like I wasn't really into all this like Lovecraftian kind of like feeling, kind of that. But ever since like I watched the Color Out of Space for the first time with Nicolas Cage, right?
Great film.
Oh, it is like it's a really good film. I've reviewed it on my channel as well. If you guys want to check that video out, I'll leave the description down below. Because like the thing is not really written by H.P. Lovecraft, but it was inspired by H.P. Lovecraft, like part of the work. Because like with H.P. Lovecraft, it's they brought like a new genre in because you never know like what's really going to happen. Because like there's mostly like used with like sci-fi and everything like that. They brought something new to the sci-fi genre and horror genre, which is like pretty brilliant. That will Color Out of Space brought something new into it. But you always got to remember, like the original like thing from another world brought this kind of feeling to life, like how this was created. As we all know, I've seen half of it. You, Elliot, you haven't seen it, have you?
No, I have not.
Because I still need it. I know it's on the HMV Premium Collection, and I think it's like 2 for $15 at the minute on Blu-ray. Just to let you know if you like ever wanted to like pick it up. But half the bit where I saw right was really good. Like it's only an hour and 20 odd minutes because it was like a 50s movie, because it was like horror film B movie back then. But I thought, you know, what I saw so far, I thought it was really good, like how they did it. It's just, I would say like it was. I like the Blob as well, like the Blob. That has that Lovecraftian feeling as well. Because I think I've seen maybe half of the remake. I think I've seen it, but I think I watched it when I was a kid because like not really I'm going to remember it. But I remember watching the 50s version of the Blob for the first time with Steve McQueen, and I tell you something, they literally pulled that off. Literally, it was so like how like this let's just call it the Blob just to make it easier. Like this alien like parasite, they come out of this tiny little bit of a meteorite and just like literally just go around slaughtering the whole town, just absorbing it all the way in the pan, and that's what I thought was good. But as we'll go back talking about the thing now, because like how like putting these like shot types all that together, it's like seeing like Antarctica itself, like, you know, seeing these establishing shots, like it looks so brilliant, well shot, like how means like you know, like it's so beautiful in Antarctica. Not a thing, but the thing is about the thing, it goes to shit. Like in the end, that's the thing. Because half the film is set during the night, because that's what it is. You know, like this film is going to be bad shit crazy. It does like near the end, but like what was brilliant about it, timekeeping, how it was paced and everything, and never really bored you in a way. It doesn't. It keeps your edge on your seat because you literally want to find out who is the thing, who is the one who's infected with this parasite, because it's a parasite from outer space that replicates people to be shifted. You know what I mean? So yeah, I've asked you some questions. Would you like to ask me some questions?
Yeah. Well, firstly, what's your favorite scene?
My favorite scene is where, you know, like when you got like the famous, like, you know, like not when you find out, but the husky, like when they lock the husky in the hut.
Yeah.
Basically, and then all the dogs literally are alerted that, you know, there was something wrong with this one husky. And then you literally see this whole transformation for the very first time. It's like, you know that, oh no, this is not going to end well for these huskies or different varieties of dogs that they have in that hut. And you know, like seeing like this for the first time, because that was really the first transformation in the whole film. And I thought like that brought something really interesting. Seeing like the fucking like legs that crawled out of the bloody thing. I was like, now that is some good practical effects, like how it was all put together. But I will also say about Hellraiser as well, which I also mentioned. Like in my video that I've done it, it brought like a brand new feeling because like when Hellraiser, that famous scene when Frank comes back to life after like absorbing that blood injected into his heart again, literally seeing the slow motion and like practical effects put together, it fitted so well, and they knew like this is what we needed, like which could have even expired the thing. Because see, because like the Hellbound Heart, as you said, like it came out like I think was it in the it was I think it was the 80s come out of it, or it could be the 70s. Like
I think it was late 70s, early 80s.
So like comes to like making a film adaptation, it could took like like some options like from John Carpenter's The Thing. Like that's what's so brilliant, because Hellraiser it brings like a different feeling to that kind of movie. Like it brings like new ideas on how they could make this creature come to life. But going back to my favorite scene, like seeing turning into big massive parasite, or like this massive like horrific being, it's just fucking like it's fucking mind blowing. It's just mind blowing the hell out of me. So yeah,
it's just the thing about Thing is that it either goes all out in one scene or it's very slow paced.
Mm-hmm.
And something really interesting about this film is it doesn't rely on jump scares like a lot of films do. This is a psychological horror film at its peak. With a lot of psychological horror, they use like sort of shadows and they'll hide the creature, and it's like, oh, where could it come from? And it's meant to make you afraid of everything around you. And this one takes that concept and instead decides to work on it with, okay, you can see everything. Like the way the snow is, all of that, it's so bright, even when it's nighttime. But you still don't know what's what, who you can trust, even what you can trust, because it could be an object, it could be an animal, it could be a person. And they still don't know what's what, who you can trust, even what you can trust, because it could be an object, it could be an animal, it could be a person. You still don't know what's what, who you can trust, even what you can trust, because it could be an object, it could be an animal, it could be a person. And it's just truly, that's what gives it that sort of terrifying feeling, even to this day, that you can watch it. And like, even at the end, you still don't know who is the thing.
Well, yeah, because you will never know, because that's the whole point, like what the movie is telling you. Like, it leaves you like thinking. That's what it does. It makes you think of like what you want to think. That's what's so great about that ending, because like, it brings you like, oh, this could have happened, or this could have happened. Like it's like even though they both could have been that creature, like the creature could have been shot in both of them. But look at this is a spoiler review, so I'll like put a spoiler review in the thing. But like that's what's so brilliant about the film is it makes you like figure out you are like it's a puzzle in a way. It is. It's literally a puzzle that you have got to solve, and that's what's brilliant. And then and the way like like the explosions and everything like that, like blowing this like blowing the building into fucking smithereens, like fucking mad. It's like even though you see the creature for the final last time, like even though the guy who was in the shed found a way to piss off. So I thought that was good, and then literally seeing the scene, like with the guy who escaped, literally digging the fingers inside, screwing it like like that to that other guy who like literally had his skin ripped off. I thought like that is some really good practical effects. It's like this is why during the 80s, I think the 80s was really good for that kind of stuff, because it knew like it's going to be one, it's going to look real, and two, it brings that feeling, the shock that could give you if this could happen, could happen in real life. Really, that's what it is. So yeah, great about the Thing because it was inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. And that's what I always think about, because it's so good.
Well, I have a question for you, if I may.
Yeah, come on, bring it on.
Who do you reckon, out of the two victors, let's call them, who do you reckon was the Thing?
Seems like because you got Kurt Russell's character, and everyone thought like he was the creature, or because they found a bit of his clothing outside. Like there could be a theory that he could be it or he could not be it. You just don't know. But then you got the other one who plays Giles in the actual movie who was left. Now you see, he could be it, because it's like like you don't know where he was, and you didn't like and like I would say McCready, like he could have been the one, right? Who actually like blew the fucking thing out of the fucking like the parasite that was left. And it's like, I think like it could be McCready. That is the only one. It's not a thing, and it's actually Giles who is. That's why he's just powered ring. You know, like Giles could literally just could have killed him after that. Literally, you could. Like you just don't know. You. This is why you'll never know about the ending. It's all locked into your head, and it will always stick like that forever. Because like even if you try and ask John Carpenter himself, he's not going to tell you because he doesn't know.
Well, that, my friend, is where you are wrong, as John Carpenter did actually reveal who was the thing and who wasn't. Yeah, in the video game for, I believe it was PlayStation 1, John Carpenter helped write the story. It was a sequel to the film, and it does actually have the correct answer.
Right, do not tell me, because I think I want to play that game now. Because I didn't know like the thing video game was a proper sequel to the thingy, and I was like, what? Right, I need to get that bloody game now. Like if I can find it in like CX or something, because I've got PS2, so that's fine. So like now I want to get the Warriors as well. That's what I also want to get. But mind the Warriors, because like you see me, like when I was at college, like I saw the thing video game for the first time, and like like how the hell did this happen? Like I didn't even know they brought out a video game. So like I knew like until I found out, it's like well, that's what's really good. And thank you for like telling me it's actually a direct sequel to the 1980 odd film when it came out. But I think it was 82 or 83, unless it was 81. But that's really good. And that's really good info. Any more questions, or is that it?
Yeah. Well, question: what do you believe that John Carpenter's The Thing has done to influence movies nowadays, like horror movies nowadays? Do you think it's had an impact?
I think a little bit, because like like with modern horror films these days, the most you use like CGI, like it doesn't look real anymore. I can literally just guess what's going to come around the corner, and it just doesn't look real. Like when I watched The Void for the first time, that's what brought like it felt like I was watching The Thing in a way. Like when I first I didn't like when I first watched it, even though I probably will go back and watch it because my opinion could change. Like that's the thing about films. So you're not going to like it for the first time, but you don't know. It just depends. But if you go back and watch it again, it's like, oh, this is quite enjoyable. It's like this is like it feels like you're watching The Thing, like with The Void, because you don't know like where it's gonna end up taking you.
Yeah,
it's like I think that's what The Void did. It brought like the physical effects in, and only had that tiny little bit of their CGI, and that's what they need. I think like practical effects need to make a comeback because CGI is just getting out of control now, and like it just doesn't look real. It's like even you're watching a Fast and Furious film. It's like that is so like badly CGI. I can literally get wow, like this is totally fucking like mint. I do agree. Like number 7 will always be the best one, but like the rest, like the ones that we got after that, it's just totally bad CGI, and I just wish they weren't made. But that's what's so crap. But like going back to horror films, like I would say like The Conjuring in a way. Like that is so CGI, but the reason they use CGI now because it's mostly used like to the public because for modernized audiences. But I just think like going back to the 80s and the 90s where they still used like physical effects, I think that they were the best. I think that they were the best eras for it, and that's what The Thing brought you. It brought you physical effect to its best, and like. And even if you saw from like Friday the 13th or like, something around that turn, that was practical effects. And I'm going to mention Tom Savini, who is an absolute brilliant, he makes all these like prosthetics, like for costumes and everything. And he also does like the special effects for blood and stuff like that. He's absolutely amazing. He even directed Night of the Living Dead, and that was all practical. Yeah. And he also did, like, of course he will have to do like the special effect kind of stuff on the set while directing. And that's what's so brilliant about that film. It's like, this is why like Tom Savini would have been brilliant if he was on the set of The Thing. Like he would have brought something amazing. That's like why didn't they get Tom Savini? Like this could have worked. It's like but the guy who would have done this, done the physical effects for this movie, I congratulate him because you've done a really good job, mate, and I respect the hell out of you for bringing this movie to life. And even John Carpenter's vision, his direction brought a really good new horror film to life, something that we haven't seen before in a remake. It's like one of the best remakes out there, like for a sci-fi movie. It's like even the Blob's like the remake is absolutely smashing. That's brilliant, and that's what's good about going back to the old films, like during the 50s and the 60s, and going to like films we got from the 80s when they've done the remakes. I think that they were the best like years of all time. It was the best decade. This is why I always respect the 80s, because it's my favorite decade. And it's like that's what's so brilliant. So yeah.
But it's not just even on a special effects basis. I mean, The Thing has influenced storytelling in such a incredible way. I mean, if you look at 2017's Life, it has a very similar story, but like also done in a very different way. It's obviously not a shape-shifting creature like The Thing is, but it is still that kind of space horror, can't let it get out to the general public type thing. And it is kind of interesting to sort of look at films like like Life and like The Void and sort of link them back to The Thing, and just to see how this one movie which is a remake of a film that was based on a book, which I'm pretty sure was originally about communism. So it's interesting to see how this concept has come from like a short story to a short movie, like as you refer to it, it's like a B movie, to this, and it's now just become this incredible legacy, that's garnered a video game and a prequel and a remake they're now doing for some reason. And like all these other films that have taken so heavily from it, both in practical effects, storytelling, camera angles, all sorts, And
that was like so great, because like, as you mentioned about Life, you see, in my opinion, like I thought it was a bit boring. I fell asleep, but I did watch it all, and that's the best thing. It's like, I get where you're coming. It did feel like The Thing, but it didn't have like the shape-shifting like abilities that it had. Yeah. That's a new brilliant idea, and like the cast was like brilliant as well, like Jake Gyllenhaal, Ryan Reynolds, and who was the other one? Was that Emily Blunt? I don't think it was.
No, it wasn't Emily Blunt. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. I have it around here.
It brought something new to the table, and this was like set in actual space. Like nobody actually didn't even know where this creature was from, because it was just out in space, really, where it was. And then seeing the guy literally got his hands really crushed the guy, I was like, bloody hell! Even though it was like CGI, I tell you something, that is some brilliant CGI that they used for that film. Absolutely brilliant, and that's what I like about it. And they still used fire, which was really brilliant, and they had that feeling. It's The Thing. I think I might try and go back to that film to see if my opinion changes, because because back then I was 18, because I mostly respected the Thing. Because I think I first watched The Thing when I was like, I think I was 16. Yeah, I was 16. And it's like when then Thingy came out, I think it was either 2018 or 2019. It could be 2017.
2017.
Right, so it was a year later. Yeah. And that's what that was brilliant. It's like thinking, going back to it now, I was like, you know what? I don't know how I didn't like enjoy the film. Like, this film could have brought you a new edition of what The Thing is from the short story Who Goes There. And that's what brilliant. So it was inspired by Who Goes There, but took a different kind of direction. And that's what's brilliant. So yeah, and that's what my opinion is. It's like that's what's so good about it. Putting opinions together and building this like new thing, kind of like franchise, which inspired different franchises. That's what it is. So yeah, I like to say thank you for coming on the channel today. I like to thank you very much. You can take a bow if you want to. But yeah, it was really fun getting you on there, and I knew you'd been wanting to come on, and I knew this film like was going to be something that you wanted to talk about, which is pretty easy. It's hard to talk about actually, which I enjoyed. So yeah, I just announced that the next episode I am going to be reviewing. But yeah, it was really fun getting you on there, and I knew you'd been wanting to come on, and I knew this film like was going to be something that you wanted to talk about, which is pretty easy. It's hard to talk about actually, which I enjoyed. So yeah, I just announced that the next episode I am going to be reviewing William Peter Blatty's The Exorcist 3. So keep an eye out for that video, because it's only a Ryan review in Trip to Horror Road episode 21. And I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.